What's up, everybody? It's Keefe from Ghost Cult Magazine, ghostcultmag.com, and I'm here with Chris and Maria from Heilung. How are you?
Very good.
Welcome back. Welcome to New York. This has been an amazing trip for you guys, an amazing tour. It's the end of the tour, and I'm just grateful that you were able to make it here and put on these amazing shows. I caught the Friday night show in New York, the first of two, and the sold out show was unbelievable. I probably don't have appropriate words at this time, but I'm gonna try. Thank you,
Thank
first of
you.
all.
Thank you.
And what an amazing time to have you come here. The label has done a fantastic job. I have to give an early shout out to Season of Mist. They have done a marvelous job. Um, it's interesting because, again, you associate Season of Mist with all these extreme metal bands as their legacy, and they continue to do that. But obviously, Heilung is its own animal, it's its own amazing and weird and wonderful thing. So right off the bat, it's weird. I find that like there's a tremendous love and just kinship with metal fans in this group and the music and the art that you make. So I wanted to talk about the fans and your relationship to them first and foremost because the fans were almost equal to the show. Like they are part of the show. It was amazing. They were so into it, just so invested. I rarely see anything like it. It's unbelievable.
Mm. Yeah, we're also very honored about the feeling of the community feeling that we're having, and I think a lot of it comes because we don't play a concert; we are performing a ritual, and you're not a spectator to a ritual; you're a participant. So that means that, yeah, we are there together, very clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the whole purpose. So original, our idea was to do it as a true circular event, which was something that we figured out would be too expensive, but hopefully we will get there one day. But the idea is really that the performance is equally made by the people that is there, everyone. It's about being there in the room together.
Absolutely. And many of the fans themselves come ready to participate in costumes and makeup and just singing and chanting and dancing. At one point in the show, I was standing next to your publicist, Katie, and she elbowed me and said, "Look at that fan down there." There's one particular fan was just going bananas, dancing and like just transcended the entire show. We just watched her for a minute and it was like mind blowing. And then obviously draw our attention back to the stage. But there really seems to be an exchange of energy
Mm.
between the artists on stage and the fans, which is really just
I want to say,
magical.
I want to say that Heilung do not have fans. We have brothers and sisters.
Yes, very well. Sorry, I've done thousands of interviews, and I'm gonna say yes, brothers and sisters. I love that, and so appropriate and so real. Um, and then let's talk also about nature because there's such a primal. The music itself is so primal and alive, but then in person, this is the thing that really just captivated me so much in person was this just incredible sort of Mother Earth. Again, I'm going to use the word again, primal experience. It's so real and it's so just just it's really hard. I can't put it into words. As I said, it's just amazing.
It's very interesting that you and so many are taking that conclusion, and it's a very logical explanation to it. Chris, you want to?
Yeah. A large part of what we're doing derives directly from nature, right? And if you take like these sounds, like what you are hearing on stage is all recorded in nature, all right? All it's a real thing, all of it, right? Of course, you can't bring a waterfall to stage, but we do bring that sound, right? Somehow intertwined in the music, and I think these very primal sounds like water or fire or whatever wind, uh, these things resonates with all of us because all of us have heard this, and through generations before us, we have been used to having these sounds around us, right? So that's also why, for instance, when you walk into our ritual, the first thing you will hear is birds, right? And a little wind, right? Because that's something maybe most people would recognize as a calm thing, and put you in a in a situation or state of mind.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And the primalness of it also, of course, derives from. I mean, as if you take a beat and you repeat it for a certain amount of time, you will at some point find yourself in a state of a meditative and trance-like state, and that is also something I think humans have been doing since we were able to smash two rocks together and make something out of it. So
Yeah. Like one thing we do, we play a lot with your heartbeat. By using an enormous amount of bass, also, but what we try to do is in the beginning of the ritual, we align the tempo of our drums almost to your heartbeat, and then we can, when you are aligned, we can start to either bring it up to arouse you or bring it down to make you calm, right? And these type of things is super important to for the immersiveness of the thing, and also to bring everyone in one place.
Right on. I can't put into words. It's very interesting that you said reference to smashing two rocks together, because percussion, drumming, the rhythm of the artist on stage, the stage movements is so integral to everything you do. Not just, again, the albums, which are obviously an experience unto themselves, but in person, literally you would be hanging on every beat, on every like rustle of the all the instruments on your bodies, literally, with also the staging. So I wanted to talk a bit about drums and percussion and the percussiveness of Heilung's music, because it is really dramatic and definitely compels and dictates to the audience what to do next. It's pretty amazing.
well, Kai came into the project with already the knowledge of how to make drums, and the first thing he did was make a drum for Chris and one for me, and then we made Blot, which is the big drum in the center of the stage, and it became a very also ritualistic process for us to bring drums in that was actually created with our own hands, and that we have a very personal relationship to. And yeah, also I really
We are in that
we
drum.
are in that drum. I want to tell you a little story that might sound a bit horrific.
Not to these people.
Not to you. No, you can take it. You can take it. So Blot is painted with our own blood, Kai, Chris, and me. And the way it happened was Kai came and he was like, "Oh yeah, you know what? I had this dream. The drum needs sacrifice, and it needs to be our blood." And in the
Every
beginning,
year.
Chris and me were like, "Really? Yeah, okay, yeah, well, interesting," because we're not so used to blood sacrifice, so it was a new thing for us. But we actually we got a friend of ours is a nurse, and she came with the full equipment. She took our blood, and then the feeling of dipping a brush into a cup of your own blood, and then painting some beautiful white wood and see that amazing color appear, and just feeling that you're giving some of your DNA and heart and blood into that instrument is just the most amazing feeling.
Yeah, also this color changes by the seasons, and
yeah,
it's so beautiful. It's
yeah.
and it's so familiar, this color also, right? It resonates with yourself, and we do this every year, by the way, every midsummer. That is where we repaint the drum.
Amazing. We actually just had an experience. Probably the highlight of 2019 for me is, speaking of old Earth knowledge and archaic knowledge. We interviewed Jinx Dawson of Coven, who signed the her new box set certificates of authenticity and her new contract in her own blood. Same process. Incredible. And so very for that same real, like there's nothing more real than the flesh and blood,
Yeah,
right?
and nothing good comes out without a sacrifice. Basically, I think that goes in any fundamental culture around the globe.
Words to live by. And I know that there's a lot of attraction, and there's, I know we talked about sort of ancient cultures and ancient instruments that you all make and use. But I'm fascinated that you're not limited to any particular, obviously there's things that are rooted in your homeland country, but also, and your different cultures from your past histories, but also some instruments from India, throat singing, which I find incredible and fascinating. And I probably said fascinating 18 times already in this interview. So, producer, edit me out, Omar. Anyway, no. But yeah, really very intense.
So there's this funny thing when you dig far enough back into history, things becomes the same, right? And that goes for the drawings, the stories, the art, but also the instruments. And you see this everywhere. So like yeah, we have of course tons of examples of this thing, but I think the fundamental is also that if you want to try to recreate something from your place, maybe all the ingredients is not there. So like in Scandinavia, to my knowledge, we haven't found any drums yet, right? But that would be if they didn't play drums, that would be the only tribal society in the history of mankind that wouldn't play drums. So of course they did. So we borrow, of course, and fill in the gaps. For the singing, we try actually to stay as accurate as possible to our region. Like Maria's singing can be traced to yeah, this culling technique, which is basically getting in the cattle. But and the men, you can even say that there was this like this Iranian traveler that came to Denmark in around the Viking period, yeah, but also up to Hedeby, and he describes the way they sang as I think it was something like barrels falling down a hill and barking dogs or something. So to his very educated Persian ear, it must have sounded horrible, right? So maybe that was throat singing, right? We don't know.
Right. Well, everything is music, right? Your, as you said, the heartbeat is a drum, and the sound of the woods and the sound of the earth and the change of the seasons. Everything is music under a certain light, uh, or to a certain ear. I'm glad you brought that up also, because I think there's no delineation between the music. The albums are obviously, you could conjure your own thing. You can see photos, you can see video. We live in a very digital age, but this is such a back to nature, as I said, this primal experience of the theatrics and the costumes, and just sort of, you can see why the fans get swept up. But I think even for you, there's interaction between all of you on stage, the warriors and all vocalists, performers, artists, and I think just the visual aspect of the group is equal to any music that's also coming out of you at the same time. And I think it's one of the things that I think is really already put your stamp on the world, is this ability to sort of stage these rituals and execute them. And clearly you must practice and plan. Clearly you've been doing this a long time, but it's pretty amazing.
Well, I would say it took some time to prepare for the first ritual. Since then, we are living such we're from 6 different countries, so it's we don't meet every week and practice. That's kind of, but but yeah, the whole stage outfits, or we call it regalia. Kai has been using his for a long time. He's been doing ritual work for many years. So his regalia, he made one that was better for flying though. So he has two now, because somehow human bones are not so welcome over borders. So kind of, yeah.
Mm.
But I think the key word for when we started planning the how to present ourselves, we just said to everyone, like, take your roots, do what feels natural to you and your origin, or where you are in your life now. Or so I had my old Viking dress that I used for 20 years, and I had this vision that I wanted fringes and the headpiece and the antlers, and it all came together. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, this is,
Yeah, and all of it comes from your home, right?
everything comes from my home, yeah. And you are wearing your
Yeah,
Viking gear.
yeah. I'm kind of like the guy in the dark to the right, I guess. Left for the audience. Yeah, but yeah, for my clothes is actually just what I've always been wearing in when doing reenactment. So one thing, like both Kai, Marie, and I have been doing living history for since we were children, and been living like that, and that is basically, you throw out your phone and then you go to a forest and you try to live as they did, right?
So basically,
Yeah.
I think also that it's like what you see on stage is not it's not an act, right? It's something that we have been doing our entire lives, and all of a sudden it feels like every pieces of the puzzle fits together in one beautiful picture.
Yeah, in a weird sense, it's not costumes; it's clothes,
Yeah.
right? I feel much more comfortable in that clothes than in regular day clothes, and it's very functional also. And also, Kai's coat is just not something he just puts on every day. It has to have a meaning and for the ceremony and the spirituality, and that thing has a life by itself, right? So it's like, yeah, it's very important to us that what you see there is not an act. We are going into trance for real. We are, you know, staying in something that has always been with us somehow,
Yeah.
but amplified.
Nice. Amplified history, of course. Hashtag ampersand at sign amplified history. But it is amplified history, and I think it comes off. It's very organic. I don't think anybody thinks. I think everybody accepts that this is a part of who you are,
Mm.
and you're just sharing this amazing gift with us, and we're all very lucky. Judging by the sold out crowds and the reaction of the crowd that I saw is pretty incredible. Again, this venue, we're across the street from Webster Hall in New York City here, and that venue is a historic place. It's not the hugest place, but it's a lovely place for a
Definitely.
show, and it was a great staging an area for you. I hope that every other city was just as accommodating and comfortable. And you need the space. You need an actual proper amount of stage. There's the earthiness of burning sage and herbs. There's the rituals themselves. There's fire. There's the spears. I was worried for some of you. You are very skilled. You're warriors, and all of you are very skilled with the spears. I was very concerned at one point with the rope and the spear and your female
Yeah,
warrior.
that's the thing, right? We portray all feelings, right? And to the untrained eye, I guess some of it can seem like something it might not be, and vice versa. Um, for me, I must say though that for the vast majority of people that we have been playing for here, I've been positively surprised on how many people actually get it. And I also want to say that coming from where we are literally from the other side of the planet, right? And it's so heartwarming to come here to a completely different place and see all these people that actually have learned, to sing along in Old Norse and Gothic and all these old languages, right? And it's like coming home in a way when we go to these stages, because it's like just one big family we come home to somehow, and that doesn't really matter where on this planet we do this, and yeah, it's important to us.
Yeah, people have been absolutely amazing. It was super beautiful experience the whole way. And I just also want to say that we hear people singing along, as Chris say, to all the lyrics, and we see a lot of potential warriors out there. So just want to make a small shout out and say that we are actually always open to include new warriors in on stage with us when we are traveling. We love to bring local people with us on stage. So all you got to do is send an email to heilungwarrior@gmail.com. Yeah, you should do
And
that.
we will link that in the description.
Yes, please do.
Um,
And then you'll get information on how to do it. Yeah.
Wonderful. I bet you're going to have a lot of takers after this interview, and probably many others. Again, I can't imagine. Here's an interesting thing that probably as Americans we don't fully appreciate here. We don't have a lot of open air metal festivals, and I think the real coming out party for Heilung in the world was Midgardsblot, which I've only heard wonderful things about and have never been to, and perhaps someday will.
It's my hometown.
Of course. So one, two, the nature of that festival in particular, for the fans that don't know, it's very, there's no similar act in the world to Heilung, but very similar spiritual connected bands and artists and acts who want to, who feel this kinship together musically or just culturally and emotionally. And so obviously outdoors and perhaps not even on a stage but in the actual woods in nature, it's a lot different than pulling this off with a natural stage and the obviously variables you cannot control like a giant festival or a theater. But I foresee that perhaps and hopefully we will continue to catch up to the rest of the world with our few excellent metal festivals that we have, and perhaps someday we will get to actually have you in an open space there's I think of a couple of festivals that come to mind immediately here where we could pull that off, and it would be an amazing sight to see. That the As amazing as this was, I can't imagine it being any better. But the only thing I can think of would be if we were all in the woods.
Outside, yeah.
Yeah, so we are planning an open air show here in America this year. I'm
All
not
right.
gonna tell where, but it's gonna happen.
Breaking news. Um, I have a
Because yes, you are right.
There's a
This type
couple.
of thing has to happen under open sky,
Yes,
in the darkness.
or under the moon or under
Mm.
the clouds if
Yes.
it's a cloudy night. That's amazing. I'm going to be there wherever it is. I promise you. As the crew also nods in agreement, we will be there. But yeah, this has been an amazing ride. Just as a fan, not just besides being a journalist, just as a fan to watch this
As a
and
brother.
watch you guys. Yes, as a brother. Sorry. It's the medicine. Anyway, yes, as a brother, and all our brothers and sisters and warriors, this has been a really gratifying thing to watch and see the appreciation and the love. And it felt like family. Even people like you didn't have to know everybody. You don't know everybody even in this big city, but you see your brothers and sisters like, wow, these people are all here for a common purpose across all walks of life. And a lot of our shows here are just like a lot of this, a lot of folded arms and sneering. And also, the typical audience that you share is very male dominated, and there's such an amazing like earth mother energy, feminine, divine feminine energy coming off the stage. It's kind of blew me away. It was like, wow, this is incredible. You normally don't see this much power, and not, we just don't have enough of it. Our audiences are so dominated by men. It's wonderful.
So for us, the ritual is also a balance point, right? So if we can go into the actual releases we're doing, we have a tendency to say that often our first album is very masculine, and also directly from the sources that we're using is coming from stuff written by men. But the second album, Futha, is the counterpart, the balance point, and that is the feminine side. But here we are not talking about cupcakes and kittens, and pink. But that type of raw power, is equal whether you are a man or a woman, because yeah, we are all human.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just when you're composing, it's interesting always to use some sorts of inspiration for what you're doing, of course, and the feminine power is a very very great force of nature, a lioness hunting and giving birth and like this really wild strong energies. So it was very interesting to work with that as a focus, and yeah, but it's also, yeah, you see we're also a gender neutral the group in that matter, that both men and women are very welcome in the warrior group. We have a dress code, it's the same for everyone. Free the nipple. We had a quite quite, yeah, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can touch briefly on it. So I just want to start out by saying that Heilung is definitely not a political band. So we do not have a political agenda or even gender neutralizing agenda even.
Just came
But
across something
but
in the
but
US
you
that
know,
was-
yeah, and that limit a little bit where we can play actually, because we figured out to our surprise that there's actually places in US where men and women are not equal, and for me, as like in our tribe and in our warrior group, I cannot look my tribe in the eye and say someone is less equal than other or less worth. Yeah, and the issue is simply that apparently that nipple on a female body is a lot more dangerous to look at than on a man, even though it's the exactly same thing, which is puzzling me a lot. So we are working on it. And the amount of things that we had to go through to actually make that happen is interesting. So it's just a shout out to all you here in this continent that, wow, keep on fighting for that thing. We say in Heilung that we are not equal, but we are of equal value. So we're not the same. Of course, we're different. We're all unique, but none is worth more than others. Uh, and and uh, and that is just a human perspective, I think. So I'm very happy to see also that in the crowd of our concerts that it's very mixed. You know, you can't say, oh, it's only metal heads that male heads coming to our show. It's not only whatever, right? It's everyone, and it's from anything, and that is what it's supposed to be. It's for all.
We definitely met many people who had no connection to heavy metal, or there was definitely conversations about what other bands are on that label. You would not like any of them, I promise you, but like they were here for you, and they were invested, whether they discovered you because there's a similar music, the Game of Thrones trailer maybe, I don't know how, but they found you and you found them, and it's beautiful, I have to say. As we wind this down, I want to give you back your time. You have a travel day, and you've been really gracious, and I appreciate you both. You already said you're coming back later this year for some incredible possible outdoor concerts. So, what else is on tap for the rest of 2020 besides more touring here in North America?
Oh, there's a
Well,
lot.
yeah, there's a lot. There is we're working with the Ninja Theory Hellblades too, which we are so fortunate to work with some extremely talented people, and we're composing together with them is such a joy. So we're gonna do some more of that. And can we see no music video?
Mm,
I'm gonna speak my secret
ah,
language now.
the,
That's
the
how much
Norwegian,
secrets I can.
Norwegians will get it, I guess. Yeah, we am working on a video for Nurubo, where we're gonna show a little bit something very interesting that has not, to my knowledge, never been shown. And yeah, and of course, as you might expect, our music, is getting attention in different medias, right? So within movies and games and all these things, and there will definitely be a lot more of that. And for us, it's really a natural flow of how we do things, and also believe that it's important to try out new things, new platforms to stand on, and all these things. Uh, the music and the message is essentially the same anyway.
Right on, amazing. Yeah, I was gonna say it would be a natural. I look forward to. Clearly, there's gonna be a whole audience for soundtracks and games and all kinds of things as we move into a more digital world that's accepting and welcoming of all these different styles. So, as you mentioned earlier in the interview, you welcome all warriors to come on stage with you. And during this U.S. tour, you actually were joined in several cities by some other warriors. And as you said, there's an open invitation. So, do you want to describe some of those performances and what those native people to the U.S. brought to your performance?
Yeah, we as we said, we always love to bring the local on stage and also to honor the land and the people of the land. And when we started to talk about the U.S. coming to the North America, we were agreeing very early on that we would love to invite Native Americans to join the ritual for the opening ceremony and the end of it. And we're fortunate enough to find some amazing people who totally got the exchange of tribes, the meeting of tribes, and like we could share this time together. So and we also at the same time we love to invite if there's a festival organizer or the guy who built the venue or if anyone who made it possible for us to come and have this experience together are welcome in the opening ritual. So this is something that we try to do as much as possible.
Yeah, essentially, we're not here to take, we're here to give. But you cannot give anything if there's no one to give to, and without the blessing of the people that owns this place, right? And that goes for everywhere, and is yes, as Maria said, a big part of our ritual. It's not that that we are all of a sudden changing our ritual when we come here into a local ritual at all, but. And we're not trying to steal anything there. We are more actually just honoring the people that is here, and creating something together, but within our way of having our ritual. So we were extremely lucky to meet these amazingly beautiful people, and it's very heartwarming to see that people that keep to their traditions and their land, um, because I like we were talking about instruments earlier or whatever. The further you look into yourself and into where you're from, and finding your maybe your heritage, and lack of better words, the closer you find in who you are, the more you are actually also opening up towards other people and seeing that how identical you are, and to everyone else, and by looking inwards you are getting closer to everyone else, and that is why we find it so beautiful to have these people there.
Indeed, the only borders are the ones created with pens and closed minds.
Yes.
That's wonderful. If you'll permit me, I have one more quick question
Sure.
for you, one additional one. Um, since you're traveling with a lot of this ancient artifacts and handmade gear and handmade costumes that are clearly not replaceable unless you recreate them physically, what precautions do you have to take to travel across the world and ship your gear and your clothing?
It's a very good question.
So we can't fly with it like in your normal luggage. That would be impossible. So that's it's of course some of our stuff is maybe legal in one country and not legal in another. So we have to adapt a little bit once in a while. But for the most part, it's actually fairly simple. So like we had our stuff sent out to America 2 weeks before we left or something, and it's just been sent back now. So that is of course a lot of bureaucracy to go through to make that happen. But we are so lucky to have amazing people that works for us for these things, because we wouldn't have the time to do this if we had to consider that even.
Big thanks to
But
Sarah for
yeah,
this.
yeah, they saved our lives. Yeah, but no, it's safe, and you know, yeah, you won't check in the airport with a human bone and a sword. They will look weird at you.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yes, and no, not again.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I would imagine it's a little bit like a mother bird and a baby bird. Like, please take care of my costumes and my handmade drum with blood on it that I cannot get back if I lose. So yeah, that's amazing.
That also creates a shout out to like this group we are traveling with. Like what you see on stage is only half of it, right? There is all these people that works really really hard around and behind stage, and from home, to make this ritual happen, and they are as much a part of our tribe as the ones that you see, and they are as important because, as you might imagine, if all our stuff doesn't arrive here, there's no ritual. So they are as important as everyone else.
Awesome. Chris and Maria, thank you so much. I'm Keefe from ghostcultmag.com. If you like interviews like this with Heilung and the content that we show here on YouTube, please like and subscribe and share with all your friends. And once again, thank you so much for this gift of your performance and your spirit and your music. Welcome to the tribe. I'm Keefe. We are out.